Hey guys, welcome back to Plum Sparkles. So in today's video, I'm going to be addressing the current crisis that is going on with the fact that Gen Alpha can't read. And what can we do about that? How do we help them learn to read? And also I'm going to be talking about this book, Thank You, Mr. Folker, by Patricia Pollock, because it is about the author when she was a little girl, having learning difficulties, not knowing how to read, her being passed up through grades, like what's happening with Gen Alpha, and still not learning how to read. And then this teacher comes around and teaches her to read. So yeah, we're going to look at this book and see how it can be applied to what's currently going on with Gen Alpha. And it says it's a heartwarming tribute to teachers everywhere. So this was read to me in first grade by my first grade teacher, and it's still one of my very favorites because of that. So yeah. So basically Gen Alpha can't read, they don't know the letters, they don't know word sounds, they don't seem to comprehend reading, and they can't read even like simple I can read books. And this has never really happened before. There are whole classrooms of these kids who are like this. And not just kids with learning disabilities, I'm talking like kids without learning disabilities. They can't read. And teachers are very frustrated by this. And a lot of them are taking to the internet to kind of shame their kids, and calling them stupid and stuff like that, which I definitely don't agree with. I've made previous videos on this. So what can we actually do to help these kids instead of shaming them? Well, let's take a look inside this book and see what this teacher does to help the kids. Okay, so I'm going to read from a page in this book. This is the page that I'm going to read from. This is when the teacher, Mr. Faulkner, learns that the main character doesn't know how to read. Okay, he says, "You poor baby," he said. "You think you're dumb, don't you? How awful for you to be so lonely and afraid," she sobbed. "But little one, don't you understand? You don't see letters and numbers the way other people do, and you've gotten through school all this time and fooled many, many good teachers." He smiled at her. "That took cunning, smartness, and such bravery." Then he stood up and finished washing the board. "We're going to change all that, girl. You're going to read, I promise you that." So notice his attitude towards her in this scene, which is very different from getting on the internet and shaming kids and saying, "Ha ha ha, look at these dumb kids, they can't read. Let me make a video on TikTok shaming them because I think it's funny." So there's a huge difference there. So number one thing we need to do is we need to change our attitude. I'm talking to you teachers, and I'm talking to you parents. So yeah, this is the attitude we need to have. So that's step one. Okay, so I'm going to read this entire next page, and this will give us some hints on what we can actually do to help these kids. Now, almost every day after school, she met with Mr. Folker and Mrs. Plessy, a reading teacher. They did a lot of things she didn't even understand. At first, she made circles in sand and then big sponge circles on the blackboard, going from left to right, left to right. Another day, they flicked letters on a screen, and then Trisha shouted them out loud. Trisha is the main character. Still other days, she worked with wooden blocks and built words, letters, 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 words, 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 always sounding them out, and that felt good. But though she read words, she hadn't read a whole sentence, and deep down she still felt dumb. And then one spring day, it had been 3 months or 4 months since she had started. Mr. Faulkner put a book in front of her. She had never seen it before. He picked a paragraph in the middle of the page and pointed at it. Almost as if it were magic, or if the light poured into her brain, the words and sentences started to take shape on the page, as they never had before. She marched them off too. Slowly she read a sentence, then another and another, and finally she read a paragraph, and she understood the whole thing. She didn't notice that Mr. Faulkner and Miss Plessy had tears in their eyes. So, yeah, that is some things that we can do to help kids be able to read more. Just get a reading teacher or a media specialist and a teacher who actually cares about children to help them read. And yeah, we can see how rewarding that is for them. Because it's not that they don't want to read, it's that they are discouraged and they have teachers that don't actually care about them. So yeah, that's pretty much this short little video that I wanted to make on this book and the current state of Gen Alpha and not being able to read. Yeah, I hope you enjoy it, and I hope this was educational for any teachers out there. See you in the next one. Bye.